6:36 is the time right now. Today, a national day of mourning as the nation honors the life and legacy of the late President Jimmy Carter. This is a live look at the Capitol Rotunda, where visitors have been streaming in to say their final goodbyes to the nation's 39th president. Now, people have until 7 a.m. to pay their respects, and then Carter's casket will travel a few miles away to the National Cathedral for a state funeral. That's where we find our Marcella Robertson this morning with the very latest on this story. And Marcella, walk us through what we can expect today.
Yeah, Wisdom, good morning to you. A very cold, windy morning here outside the National Cathedral. Today will conclude former President Jimmy Carter's final trip to Washington. And what we can expect to see here today, this funeral service, is really a service that has been in the planning, in the makes for decades. And Mr. Carter and his family have been very intimately involved in the details of all of this. And really what we have seen unfold over the last several days, all of the events from Georgia to here in the nation's capital. This is really how Mr. Carter wanted his story to be told. So as far as what we can expect here today is a ceremony, a departure ceremony will happen at 9 o'clock this morning from the Capitol. A motorcade will bring former President Carter's remains here to the National Cathedral. They will arrive at about 9:30 this morning. Keep in mind that service set to start at 10 o'clock. Just a few minutes before that service, his casket will be carried into the cathedral here. His grandchildren will serve as the honorary pallbearers this morning. This is the fifth state funeral that has been held here at the National Cathedral. Many of them are very similar when it comes to logistics and security, but it is really the family details and their involvement that make them all so special. Now, Reverend Randy Hollerith is one of the clergy members who will be leading the funeral service today.
To have a presidential funeral here at the cathedral is an honor for us. We were created to be a great church for national purposes as well as a house of prayer for all people. And so when we get to live into that role, it's very special for us. We're honored to be able to do it. President Carter was such a man of deep faith. It's especially wonderful for us to be able to host his service here.
And President Biden will deliver the eulogy this morning. The First Lady will also be here. There will also be readings from Jason and Joshua Carter, Jimmy Carter's grandsons. We are, of course, expecting to see former presidents here in attendance this morning, members of the Supreme Court, many other dignitaries, all here to pay their respects to the 39th President of the United States during his final visit to Washington. After the funeral service today, a motorcade will then escort President Carter's casket back to Joint Base Andrews. He will be flown back to Georgia for a private burial service in his hometown of Plains later today, where, guys, he will be buried alongside his late wife, Rosalind, of 77 years. Back to you.
All right. Thank you very much for that report, Marcella. 6:39 is the time right now. These services will have a major impact on traffic today. There are a number of road closures, parking restrictions, and metro service changes in place. Lindsay joins us now to walk us through that part of the story.
And that's right, Wisdom. And we already have a lot of these closures in place if you do live around the National Cathedral, so plan for some heavy delays. Here's exactly what you need to know with the biggest road closures. Until 3 p.m. today, these roads that you see marked in red and purple will be closed. Biggest roads are going to be Wisconsin Avenue, Woodley Road, 34th Street, and then Garfield Street. Again, closed down right now until 3 p.m. We also have some side roads that are restricted to local traffic only, so make sure to plan for those detours in the entire neighborhood and area. As for detours, you do have some pretty big roads that are still opened up. I would take Connecticut Avenue in either direction to get past those delays, or you have Massachusetts Avenue in Northwest to get past that closure. Wiz?
All right, Lindsay, thank you. We'll have special coverage later this morning for President Jimmy Carter's funeral at the National Cathedral. You can watch it live at 10 a.m. right here on WUSA 9. We'll also be streaming on WUSA 9 Plus ahead of the funeral starting at 9 a.m. You can download it on your streaming app, Roku, Fire TV, or wherever you stream.